Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something really powerful, a mental model for tackling some of the most complex problems out there. It's called first principles thinking. So let's just jump right in.
You know that feeling, right? You're in a meeting, you're staring at a project, and it just feels like all you're doing is, well, tweaking things. You're trying to make a slightly faster horse when what the world really needs is a car. It's such a common trap, and today, we're going to learn how to bust right out of it.
Okay, so the reason we get stuck, it has a name. It's called the analogy trap. This is basically the default way most of us learn how to think, how to solve problems. But as you're about to see, it's got some pretty serious limits.
All right, so this slide really lays it all out. On the one hand, you've got reasoning by analogy. This is our default mode, right? It's about looking at what everyone else is doing or what's been done before, and then just trying to make it a little bit better. It's easier, for sure. But then on the other side, you've got first principles thinking. This is totally different. This is where you tear the problem down to its most basic fundamental truths, and from there, you build a brand new solution. It's way more demanding, no doubt, but this is where the real breakthroughs happen.
So let's really get into the nitty-gritty of this method. What does it actually mean to think from first principles?
Okay, here's the formal definition. But think of it this way. You're a detective. You don't just take someone's story at face value, right? No way. You break it all down to the raw, undeniable facts, the stuff you know is 100% true, the things that can't be argued. And only when you have that solid foundation, then you start building your case. Or in our world, your solution.
And don't underestimate how powerful this is. As the source material for this explainer puts it so well, this isn't just some neat little mental trick. It's a core skill. It's what separates a good consultant from a truly great one.
All right, so this all sounds amazing in theory, doesn't it? But how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? Well, the good news is there's a tool for that. Let's talk about the decision tree.
The decision tree is basically your map for this whole process. It's the framework you use for that deconstruction we talked about. It lets you take a big, messy, complicated problem and visually break it down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces until they're actually manageable. It's all about bringing clarity and structure to the chaos.
And here's the 5-step playbook for using it. First, you have to define your key question. You need to be super precise about what you're trying to solve. Step 2 is identifying the main levers, the big things that can actually influence the outcome. Then step 3, you deconstruct each of those levers using the MECE principle. Now MECE, that stands for mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. All that really means is that your pieces don't overlap, and when you put them all together, they cover the whole picture. No gaps, nothing left out. Step 4, you just keep going. You continue to deconstruct until the parts are small enough to wrap your head around. And finally, step 5, you prioritize. You figure out which areas are most important to tackle, and you start forming your hypotheses.
Let's make this whole thing less abstract. There's a classic example that really shows the power of this in action: reinventing the car.
So let's say it's your job. You've been tasked with building a new car. Where do you even begin?
Well, if you're thinking by analogy, you'd probably head straight to a car dealership. You'd look at all the latest models and think, okay, maybe I can make the engine a tiny bit more efficient. Or hey, I'll add a bigger touchscreen. You'd end up with a slightly better version of what already exists. An incremental improvement.
But the first principles thinker asks a totally different question. They ignore the showroom, they ignore the current models, and they just ask, fundamentally, what is a car?
And when you break it down, what are the absolute basic truths? A car is really just a system to get people from point A to point B. So, what does it need? It needs a power source. It needs a way to get that power to the wheels. That's the drivetrain. It needs a frame, a chassis, to hold everything together. And it needs a control system so a person can drive it. Now, notice what isn't on that list? A gasoline engine.
See, when you reason up from those basic truths, you're suddenly free. You're not trapped by the assumption that the power source has to be an internal combustion engine. It could be batteries. The drivetrain could be an electric motor. And just like that, you've reasoned your way from the ground up to the modern electric car. That's the breakthrough.
Okay, so now you've got the framework. You see how it works. But putting it into practice effectively, that also means knowing where you can go wrong. So let's talk about how to use it and, just as importantly, what to watch out for.
If you're a leader,
Your main job is to create an environment where this kind of thinking can actually happen. That means you have to embrace what's called a beginner's mind. Be willing to question absolutely everything. It means you make the decision tree a central go-to tool for your team. You have to foster a culture where people can have rigorous debates and challenge each other's ideas. And you have to value those aha moments, those real insights, way more than just big piles of data.
But you do have to be careful. There are a few common traps. First is analysis paralysis. It's so easy to get lost deconstructing something forever and never actually make a decision. You have to know when to stop. Also remember, this tool is meant to enhance your business judgment. It doesn't replace it. And finally, this isn't about reinventing the wheel for everything. You don't have to ignore all past knowledge. You just use that knowledge to help you form new hypotheses, not to just copy old solutions.
At the end of the day, this isn't just another technique you can add to your list. It's much bigger than that. It's a fundamental shift in how you see the world and all the problems in it. And here's the most crucial point to remember. The goal isn't to get more data. It's about finding more of those aha moments that completely challenge what we think we know. The whole point of breaking things down is to find that one single weak assumption, that one non-obvious truth that unlocks a totally new way forward.
And that's the real magic of first principles thinking. It gives you a brand new lens to see through. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Think about your work, your industry, your company. What is the one long-held assumption that everybody just takes for granted? The thing nobody ever questions? What might happen if you were the one to finally deconstruct it?